Hey everyone, and welcome to the making of Elan Vital Animus. The film sort of started as a trickle of an idea I had when I was throwing away an old idea that I didn't quite like very much. It was about soldiers and various things. I sort of grew to hate it almost. So I've come up with two ideas that I had, and one was very short, very simple, and the other was Elan Vital, where people, young teens, have been gathered up and are having drugs tested on them, particularly this one called anti-Requitox, which opens up the mind and increasing the brain capacity by up to 70%, of which lets people use telekinesis, and the sheer power of their mind can do things on its own. It's sort of a story in itself. Why is this happening? What's this here for? It gets interesting, a lot more interesting, when you pick out certain pieces of this apocalypse that's occurring. Particularly the characters that I'd created in my head. Animus, for one, the hero of the piece, the one that withstood all of the horrors that they'd put him through and came out with a sense of justice of wanting to change things back to the way, well, they were, and getting some peace out of the chaos.
He's like a kind of same age as I am now, so 16, 17, 18. Taken away from his 6'1" friends. Fed loads of like drugs and tested on to like do more brain power kind of thing. And it almost made him go crazy. He decided though that he'd rather cling on to hope and then try and solve the kind of problems that this drug had created.
And Redgrave, essentially the opposite, the one who just couldn't handle all the things that were going on and went insane and crazy and decided to go against everything he ever knew and destroy the world.
Don't just stand there all silent, it's no fun. He's like the second main character, I like to think. Okay, he was just normal boy, obviously. Went to sixth form, had friends, everything, but then he was taken and given the pills or whatever it is to make him have his psychic powers. But from that, he's lost all his life he had before, so he's angry, and that's why he's violent towards everyone. And he doesn't know who to be angry at, so I slice and kill everything.
They're both similar in the flashbacks that Animus has when talking to Redgrave. Sort of brings together a sort of a common goal as such, to find themselves after being experimented on in this way and being taken away from their past lives. I suppose the real meaning behind the short film is to find that sense of self. Probably be the message behind that.
I was pleasantly surprised how good it was, because I'm not a big fan of the sci-fi genre. I'm more of a documentary man myself. But no, it was really very entertaining, gripping and tense. It was a tense watch all the way through. In its short 5-metre span, I feel that the storyline, the narrative, was very gripping, very deep. I thought it's amazing how deep it went for just a short 5-minute film. It tackled themes of globalisation, inequality, total authoritarianism, drugs, youth, insurrection, terrorism. It's extremely hard-hitting for a 5-minute film.
I had this idea in my head of a military kind of film. I had a location, an abandoned firework factory I'd been to before, and while I was writing the storyboard for this film, the idea I had in my head, I realised suddenly, hang on, I'm creating an idea for a location when I should really be doing it the other way around. And I really hated the idea eventually. And the reason I dropped the original idea was because I felt it was fairly shallow. I hadn't thought about my characters that much. Nothing was really going quite right. would do it.
This research, we believe, will further mankind in so many ways.
Anyone else? What does it matter now?
None for you.
Most of my casting decisions for Elan Vital Animus were based on the time schedule that I had to keep. This wasn't a massively huge budget feature film. I didn't have 2 or 3 years to get everything right, slowly build up the script, show it to people. I didn't have that kind of resources or time. So it was less about, I suppose, the quality of acting and more about who had the compromise of good acting ability and who would be available at the times I needed them to be to get the filming done and be able to edit it on schedule. I chose Crit Dwarvedi for John DeHardy because Crit knows his science and his chemistry very well, and he also fell in favour with the chemistry department, so I could use his links to get the resources I need for the shots, which was incredibly useful, and I don't regret it. He was a particularly good actor and very believable as a university student. Alex Lynch as Redgrave I feel was a good choice because he, as a person, he's quite active, very here and there, sort of a bit loopy in his own way, and I thought, well, if he can expand on that and go that little extra step further, then Redgrave could be quite easily portrayed as a complete madman. Something I feel wasn't particularly done well with the script, but there is the essence of insanity in there. Alex Shannon as Animus was my hardest decision to make. Everyone else that I had in mind was too busy or had plans for the Saturday I needed them to come to the firework factory location. So Alex Shannon was generally picked because he was available. His acting ability is sound, I wouldn't say amazing, which is difficult when you're choosing a main character, but equally I think he did a fairly good job in the action sense. He could certainly cope with the slipstreams and falls that I needed him to go through.